are live with the 7th grade mathematics state test preparation. Today we're going to do the test from 2019. All right, we're going to start with the first question. And the first question is going to be the question number 1. All right. Oh, we're starting with that. Okay, we're starting with 2. All right, okay. We're going to start with question number 2. Okay. What is the exact decimal equivalent of 7/12? How do we do that? Well, since in 7th grade you're allowed to use calculators, that means that all we have to do to convert a fraction into a decimal is to divide numerator by denominator, which is 0.5833333, which is this B. You got B. Oh, okay. Great. Okay, so 0.58333. This little thingy, this little stick on top of the 3 means the 3 is repeating. We are doing the next question, which is question number 4. All right. Looks like a geometry question. Okay, so Jordan is baking brownies and will choose to either round a rectangular pan, round a rectangular pan. The dimensions of the bottom of each pan are shown below. Okay, so bottom of the round pan, bottom of the rectangular pan. Okay, so which statement correctly describes how the area of the bottom pan compares to... So we have to compare, right? So a lot of words, and all they could have asked you is just what is the difference between their areas? That's what it is. All right, so the first thing that we need to know to find the area of this circular pan, right, is the area of a circle, which is area equals to pi times radius squared. So we do know the pi and we need the radius. We have something that says in the middle 10 inches. Is that the radius? No, it's not the radius. What is the radius? And what are they showing us? They're showing us the diameter, because they're showing us a line that goes from one side of the circle all the way across to the other side. But the radius is half that. The radius is what stops in the middle. So this is the radius, which is half of the diameter. So in this case, the radius will equal to 5. All right, that's all we need. Pi is, we know what pi is, which is 3.14. 3.14. You don't know? In 2 days, there's going to be a Pi Day. In 2 days, it's going to be March 14th, which is 3.14. It's going to be a Pi Day soon. All right, so it's going to be... All right, so we're going to use the calculator again because there's a Pi button on the calculator. On every calculator, there's a Pi button. All right, so it's going to be... hold on. Okay, it doesn't want to... Whatever. Okay, so so it's pi. So first, I always like doing radius squared. So radius squared, obviously, it's 5 squared, which is 25 times pi, right? I'm not going to use 3.14 if I have a pi button, right? And then it's equals. So it's 78.53, and that's the area of this circle, 78.53. Now, what is the area of the rectangle? The area of the rectangle is length times width, which is 7 times 10, which is 70. So the difference in between them, well, it's easy to see what the difference between 70 and 78.53 is 8.53, right? So area of the bottom of the round pen is greater. No. Oh, yeah, it is greater, obviously. Yeah, by 8. By about 8.5, which is exactly it, right? It's 8.53, the difference. So the correct answer is A. All right. Now we're just going to do it anyways. Okay, so the next one is going to be question number 5. All right, so on average, Shanti drinks 1/2 of a 6-ounce glass of water in 2/3 of an hour. How much does she drink in an hour? All right, so half of a 6 ounce of water. So it's like, what is half of 6 ounces? 3 ounces, right? So it means that, you know what? I don't like the way I wrote it, but anyways, so it's 3 ounces in 2/3 of an hour, right? How many ounces in 1 full hour? This is a proportion that we're going to use. So how do we find our x in this case? We're going to multiply the numbers across, which is 3 times 1, which is just 3, and divide by the number that's across from the x, which is dividing by 2/3, right? We're going to use keep change flip, 3 times 3 over 2, which is 9 over 2, which is 4.5. Use the calculator in the end if you don't know. But if you do know, you do know. So the answer will be C. Now, there's going to be a separate video on us using proportions and learning how to use proportions. And proportions are very, very important. Is a very, very easy way to solve questions like that, where you're giving two pieces of information and you need to find the third one that is missing. But for now, we're moving on. Okay, the next question we're going to move on is this question, number 9. So, the diagram shows the length of the width of a cell phone, the length of a larger version of the same brand of the cell phone. Okay, so the length and the width of the two cell phones are proportional. What is the width in inches of the larger version of the cell phone? Okay, so we're looking for the width. We're looking for that, right? And since they said it's proportional, we can create a proportion, right? A proportion looks like this. Fraction equals another fraction. In the first fraction, we're going to put length over width of the first version, of the shorter version of the phone. And in the second fraction, we're going to put length over width of the second. So this over this. So 6.21 over x. And this is enough. Because from here, we use the calculator. Right? What do? We multiply two numbers across and divide by the number that's across from the x. So we do 2.6 times 6.21, and we divide the answer by 5.4, which all of that we can do on the calculator. All right, so it's going to be 2.6 times 6.21 divided by 5.4. 2.99. This is it. It's C. This is as straightforward. So I just said that we're going to use proportions more, and right away we use a proportion. Okay, so we're moving on into the next one, which is... Which one do we want to do? We want to do the number 15. Number 15. All right. Last week, the price of apples at grocery store was $1.60 per pound. This week, apples at the same grocery store are on sale at 10% discount. What is the total price of 4.5 pounds of apples this week at the grocery store? So, what is our strategy here? Since there is a discount, right? We need to find what we have to pay per pound after the discount, right? How do we find 10% discount? We take the price and we multiply it by 0.10, by the decimal version of 10%. The decimal version of 10% is 0.10. The answer for this, use the calculator obviously, but we know it, it's 16 cents. Okay? So now, since I found what is the 10% of the price, I can take it away from the price because it's a discount, right? It's something that we don't want to pay and don't have to pay. So it's going to be $1.44 per pound. And now we should not forget that this price was per pound, right? And we're looking for the price for 4.5 pounds, right? So look at this. They made it a little bit more difficult because they put it as 4 and 1 over 2. But we know that 4 and 1 over 2 equals to 4.5, don't we? We do, right? So since this is per 1 pound and we're looking for this many pounds, right? All we have to do is just multiply. This is it. 1.44 times 4.5, which is 6.48. That's the answer. All right, next question. I'm going to erase this because it can get confusing. Okay, we're gonna go with red this time. An object travels along a horizontal straight path at a constant rate. The object travels 1/20th of the length of the path in 3/4 seconds. At this rate, how many seconds does it take the object to travel the entire length of the path? Well, okay, so there are many ways of doing it. For myself, right, the most obvious way to do it is to do a proportion, because proportion will never fail. So how do we set it up? First, we set up across from each other, right, in front of each other, across from each other is the information that's given to you. Like, let's say they say 1/20 of the length of the path in 3/4 seconds. So 1/20 in 3/4, right? And now on the bottom, we're gonna put the question that they ask. And across from the question will be the x, what we're looking. So at this rate, how many seconds? So right away, since they asked how many seconds, right? I know that I'm gonna put x under the seconds, right? Because this was seconds and this was the path, right? So I'm gonna put they ask us how many seconds does it take the object to travel the entire length of the path. What does it mean, the entire path? The whole thing. How do we do the whole thing in fraction world? What is the whole thing in the fraction world? One. Yes. One. A whole thing is one. And now, again, we're solving a question with a proportion. We multiply two numbers that are across and divide them by the one that's across from the x. That's it. Let's do it. 3/4 times 1 is obviously just 3/4. And then we divide it by 1/20th. Obviously, if you were like, oh, I knew it, like I could have done it like right away. Yes, you could have. But you know what? Sometimes you'll do it right. Sometimes you'll do it wrong. But the proportion will never let you do it wrong. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, so now it's going to be keep, change, flip, right? And it's going to be 3/4 times 20/1, which is 60/4. Which is, how many times 4 goes into 60? Exactly 15 times. Or you can do it in calculator. The answer is A. All right. The next question that we need to do will be, algebra. Okay. All right. Those are my favorites. The way I explain these questions is a little bit different from what or how they teach it to you in school. So let's go. Pre-algebra question, how to combine like terms my own way. So what I do, I box every single term before I even start combining like terms. So I box every single term. The only thing that you need to know about the boxing is that you must include the sign that goes before the number. Okay, so it's 7a. So there are terms, right? 7a is positive. We don't put a plus, but we know it's positive. So it's positive 7a, negative 8, negative 12a, and plus 4. Now we have to combine the like terms. Only the ones that can be, well, basically same family terms can be combined. So 7a and negative 12a will be one family of terms, and negative 8 and positive 4 will be the other family of terms. All right, let's do it. So 7a and negative 12a combined together will be just doing 7 minus 12. That's exactly what you're going to get. It's negative 5. Just don't forget to put the a, because, well, they're from the a family of terms. And now we're going to combine negative 8 plus 4. How? Just do exactly what it says on the calculator. Negative 8 plus 4, which is negative 4. Put it next to your first answer, and that's it. That's the answer. You don't go any further. You don't subtract them, you don't add them, you don't do anything, you stop. You're not allowed to smoosh together cats and dogs. You know what I mean? The answer is C. This is how you do combining like terms with algebra. Okay. The next one is going to be, is it this one? It is this one. All right. What difficulty does this question possess? This question possesses the difficulty of that one of them is a decimal and another one is a fraction. But what kind of answers do we have there? We have only decimal answers. That means that we have to transform into a decimal. So let's rewrite everything. And by the way, question mark, really? How about putting just x there? So negative 2.1 minus x equals to negative 1.5. All right? So now we just have to solve. Negative 2. So how do we solve this? Well, you can just, I guess, try to do all of them, right? Like kind of like plug in all of them into the x and see which one will be the answer. And probably if you do it correctly on the calculator, I don't think you'll miss. The only thing is that maybe if you're not sure how to do like a negative, right, then you may miss. But yeah, so look, 2.1, you make it negative and you do minus 0.6. Is that negative 1.5? It's not. You move on. Negative 2.1 minus 3.6. For some reason I started with B. Hold on. This, for some reason, I didn't make it negative. Hold on. 2.1, make it negative, and then subtract 3.6. Is negative 5.7? No. All right. But what happens if I plug in negative over here? What happens if negative 0.6 comes in here? It's going to be negative and then negative 0.6. So minus and then negative 0.6. This is how it's going to get in. But when we have minus minus, it turns into a plus. So we're going to have to do plus 0.6, which is, ta-da, negative 1.5. That's exactly what we're looking for. So this method was the method of trial and error. Now there is another algebraic method that we're going to do it. This is going to be our last question of the day. Now, how do we do it algebraically? We're going to have to do it in 2 steps. Step 1, get rid of the negative 2.1. How? By adding it to both sides of the equation. Plus 2.1 plus 2.1, right? Which is, this cancels out, negative x comes down, equals to, and whatever this is, we can do it on a calculator. So it's going to be 1.5, make it negative, right? It's negative 1.5 plus 2.1, which is 0.6. And now, if you did not bring down the negative with the x, you would just have chosen the b. But it does come with the x. It doesn't just disappear. Because, like in the previous one, right, when we had to box, this is a negative x. So it stays as a negative x until you change it. So how do we change it? Well, you can change it just by the logic. You can divide by -1, you can multiply by -1, or logically. If negative x equals to 0.6, then positive x equals to negative 0.6. You know, they switch. And that's why it's C. So this was the algebraic way. All right. So that was another part of the 7th grade state test preparation. The more will come in soon.